Little Comfort Studio presents My Memory Pod. You're listening to My Memory Pod with your host, Ronnie G. Hello, listeners, and welcome back to My Memory Pod, Episode 4. The past 3 episodes featured a reenacted 1940s detective short story. It was a script taken from a 1949 radio play and featured the voice characterizations of my wife, Marianne McGraw, and myself. Now, also in episode 2, I played a song recorded by a Winnipeg band who were called Razorback, and the song was a cover of Rock This Town, which was part of their demo tape and repertoire, and their sound covered quite a few different styles, but I think was leaning towards a progressive, hard driving rock and blues category. Anyway, I've got the lead singer, who was Greg Harrison, and I'm lucky enough to have him on the show today. Welcome, Greg.
Well, hello, Roland. How you doing?
I'm doing good. So it's been quite a few years since that demo tape that you made.
Yes. Many years ago. I think it was back in 1982, actually.
Wow, that goes back quite a ways. That's almost 40 years.
Yeah, it was recorded by a fella by the name of Brian Hussey, and he did a great job on that, actually.
Yeah, in hindsight, when you look back at it, the production value was pretty up there.
Sure was, yes.
Yeah.
Well, great job, yes.
The band had a pretty talented lineup, if you remember that. What led up to that formation of the group?
Well, I was one day a fellow by the name of Gordy Ty, one of the best drummers I've ever heard in Winnipeg, called me up and said, Brian B.B. Gordon was going to be playing downtown. I believe it was at the Holiday Inn, and they had a band called Rain Tree, and
they were a pretty popular band back then, weren't they?
They were a very popular band.
Yeah.
And there was another guy actually who lived in East Kildonan, who was Glenn. Yeah, Glenn. Yeah. And so, anyways, we went down to see them that night. Glenn Stacy, pardon me. Anyways, and we went down to see them that night, and, we were just sitting there around the table, and, great band and everything else, and we're saying, hey, well, we got some pretty talented musicians sitting here right at the table.
No, that wasn't the booze talking or anything.
Well, there was a little bit of that, but we looked at each other and said, maybe we could put a band together, and then I think we gave you a call.
Oh, yeah. I do remember a call, and I was...
Yes, and then we gave you a call because, I just loved playing with you in the past, and, your bass playing vocals were just, terrific.
I'll take that as a compliment. That's great.
Well, to this day, I still think that you were the most, talented guy I ever played with on, as far as the way we could get together singing and playing and everything else, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I do recall there was a few moments there. It's almost like a little
Exactly, yeah.
Wow.
And then we decided we needed to have another. We thought, because we wanted to play some pretty complicated rock and roll tunes, that we needed a second guitar player, and we ended up with this fella called Vance Hallett.
Right. Right.
And that's another story in itself.
Yeah. He had a nickname, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. He's just a crazy man.
Yeah. Hearing the word animal. Yeah.
Animal, yeah. Well, yeah, that too, yeah. But, he was a great guy, and, I did end up playing with him later in life, again, for a little while.
Right.
And, the guy is, when he was younger, he tore up a few places, that's for sure.
Yeah. He was a very, very talented guy. Different guitar style to Ed, the other lead player.
Oh, yeah. They were two exact opposites.
Yeah. Nice compliment.
It made it work kind of like that.
Yeah, that worked out pretty well then. So, was there an agenda or a business plan when you started out?
Well, not more of a business plan, but I think we had an agenda of just, we wanted to play some more, not harder, but more intricate rock and roll songs, and maybe write some of our own stuff. In the end, I'm just still can't figure out why it just didn't work out, to tell you the truth.
You can't quite remember what it just seemed to come apart at the seams, didn't it? And it just evaporated.
Yeah.
it had such
that's kind of like most bands, but whatever.
The demo had an introduction by popular radio DJ Brother Jake Edwards. Can you explain how that came about?
Well, Jake is my brother-in-law, so and he was working at 92 City FM back then, which was the rock station in Winnipeg.
Oh yeah.
So I asked him if he could do that, and he said, yeah, great, and I sent it over to him, and he did it, and I always appreciated that he did it because Jake was recently inducted into the Canadian Rock and Roll Radio Hall of Fame, and along with Robbie Robertson of the band, actually.
Awesome.
Yeah, doesn't get much better than that.
Well, yeah, you're touching the greatness.
Yeah, no kidding, yeah. So that was like, and I got to hold up his trophy at his place there, and it's like, wow.
Yeah. So he's living
for us, so that's great.
Where is he in Vancouver now?
They're in Tawasin.
Oh, right. Okay.
My sister and him were living downtown until he was the morning man on Rock 101 there, and then he had a health issue.
I see.
And he had to retire. And anyways, they're living in Tawasin quite nicely, right beside the golf course there.
Nice place to be living.
Yes, very nice.
Getting promoted back then in the band was quite an involved process. I understand you had an encounter with the Hungry Eye Agency. Can you tell a little bit about that?
Well, I had, and there was a Razorback 1 before the Razorback 2 kind of thing. And we had worked for the Hungry Eye and, with Jerry Colt and that. And but then there was a thing that happened at the Hungry Eye with a girl named Linda Z. She started her own agency.
Oh, right.
And Jerry wanted us to work for the Hungry Eye, and Linda wanted us to work for her at her new agency. And anyways, we kind of worked for both. And Jerry wasn't too happy, and Linda's going, come on over here, we got to book you over here, and blah, blah, blah. So.
I recall a band practice at your parents' house one time where it got so loud the glasses were falling off the shelves. Yeah,
my dad didn't. My dad wasn't too happy. But going back to that house, there's a lot of history back there because right behind our house was the house where the Guess Who used to practice. Going back to those days, back in the late 1960s, early 70s, Gar Gillis, who had, manufactured the Garnet amplifiers
right.
for the Guess Who.
He was a king of Garnet back then.
Cam Gillis,
yeah,
owned the house behind it. And he was managing the Guess Who back in the late 1960s when they were doing, their first breakout songs, These Eyes and Laughing. And I used to sit on the back on a fence there and listen to them every night. And, it's kind of like a musical place. But anyways, our dad kicked us out. And,
Yeah. I don't blame him. I think as a neighbor, it would have been a problem.
But anyways, I got to listen to the Guess Who when they were first coming into prominence, as they say.
Yeah. Great memory from back then. That would have been...
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. Yeah.
How old would you have been back then when you were...
I was like 14, 15, whatever.
Yeah.
And they used to give us these little cards with their pictures on them. Yeah. And also, to tell another thing was this great big guy I used to see at the grocery store used to be standing because he lived in that house for a while. It was Randy Bachman.
Oh, right.
Right behind me, yeah. And I used to see him at the grocery store, and he's a big guy.
He would have had the long curly hair back then, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like an afro?
He's a big man.
Yeah.
Believe me, and I used to, holy man.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Quite a respected guitarist, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Still playing to this day.
Yeah, they are. This also led up to finding more appropriate rehearsal space. I think it was the old Market Square district in Winnipeg.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Had some old vacant office space, and that was a little more
And
suitable.
They were renting it out.
Yeah, and I recall cables all over the wooden floors and windows open on a hot summer day, and rehearsing tunes like Every Breath You Take from the Police while gasping for air with no air conditioning.
Oh, it was so hot in there in the summer, Roland.
Yeah.
And, I was sweating bullets in there. I guess everybody. We had good rehearsals, but, yeah, in the summer, it was, ugh.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. And I do recall, I think one time after a practice, I think we went for a photo shoot or something like that out...
yeah, right beside the police station in Winnipeg there.
The public safety building there. And,
right, the public safety building.
We ended up sashaying across Main Street to the Manitoba Museum and tried to get some more shots in there, I think.
Yes, I believe so.
From all the pictures that were taken, I guess it was down to like one or two that were used as a promo.
Yeah, I think it was the public safety building was the main one. Yeah.
Right. So you had a nickname back then too, I believe. It was Alice, as in Alice Cooper. How did that come about?
Well, to start off with, I actually had an aunt named Alice Cooper.
You did? Oh.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever told you about that, but on my mom's side, her last name was Cooper, and my uncle he married Alice Cooper, actually. So, anyway, that's another part of it.
Oh.
I didn't think you knew that.
No, I didn't. Actually, it's a new one for me.
Anyway, in the Razorback one, I got hit in the head one night while singing an Alice Cooper song.
With what?
With a lead guitar from Marvin Finkel. And he hit me square in the middle of the head, and my face started bleeding, and everybody thought it was part of the Alice Cooper song.
Oh, so...
But anyways, after that, because we did a lot of Alice Cooper songs in our Razorback band, everybody nicknamed me Alice.
Yeah, so that band lineup performed a number of local gigs around Winnipeg before it dissolved. Can you tell me what followed after that?
What followed after that? Well, I can tell you what I did.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I ended up working, in the electrical sales industry for many years, and then I got back into it with a guy by the name of Michael Chiapanta who played keyboard, and he got a gig every weekend at the Pony Corral in Winnipeg.
Was that a club or?
Yeah, it's a nightclub, yeah.
Right.
So I did, stuff with him for over 10 years, and then the original Razorback band got back together. And in between that, too, I played with a band called Glider. I have to put that in there, too, because that was it wasn't short-lived, but then, yeah. And then the Razorback band got back together, the original Razorback band, and we ended up doing a gig with April Wine.
Wow, yeah.
It was very nice.
So you opened up for them? Or? Yeah.
Since then, just been, here and there. I played with the last time I actually did a gig was back in Winnipeg at the Park Theater with the Friends Band, it's called, and they were supposed to be doing a gig last October, but it got canceled because of COVID.
Right.
So I was going to go back for that, but, Cheryl and I here, we've been doing karaoke and things like that. I purchased a brand new PA system, and, if you can't go to the bar and do it, I'm just going to do it here at home.
Well, that's really nice to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got a built-in audience at home, or?
Me and her.
Yeah. Speaking of the Pony Corral back in Winnipeg, there was another popular bar out Pembina Highway that way too. I believe you and I had gotten tickets once to see, of all bands, Iron Butterfly.
Yes, at the Norlander.
Is that what it was?
The Norlander Hotel, yes.
At the Norlander. I remember that was a big deal.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but ask myself, how does a band of that caliber end up on a pub circuit in Canada. And that was because that was only, maybe a dozen years after the height of their success?
Right.
Yeah.
They had played at the Winnipeg Arena with Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
At Man Pop. And I was there. I think it was 15 years old.
Yeah, that goes.
Yeah, and they did play well that night. A lot of people thought that they outdid Led Zeppelin, to tell you the truth.
They were just a band. They got up there and they played, right? There wasn't anything freakish going on. I think you were with me. We went and saw Alice Cooper at the Winnipeg Arena with the old boombox back there in Winnipeg.
Yep.
And I remember going to the concession stand before the band came on, and I remember standing there, and I overheard people. Everybody's excited and talking, and I overheard somebody say, "Yeah, he's got the gallows on stage. I think he's going to hang himself." And a woman working behind the counter, she overheard it, and she said, "Good, I hope he succeeds."
Back in the good old days. And,
yeah.
The thing about Alice is he's still going.
Yeah, I know. He was just in BC a few years ago. He was up around Squamish there at Pemberton.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but be impressed that he was still able to do it. And, he got himself a whole new legion of fans.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta, this guy has been going for, since the early 70s.
Yeah. He's been going a long time. 50 years. I mean, he's like a Rolling Stone,
It's not that the show he does, it's very complicated. Like, you just, it's not like, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, there is. If you pay attention, if anyone's a fan of his routine, choreographed very well. Yeah. So, any plans for karaoke anywhere in the future?
Well, Cheryl and I have been doing the karaoke at the local bar here at the Red Crow.
Right.
Every Saturday night, but of course COVID kind of shut that down. We were doing a once every couple of weeks at the seniors' home in 100 Mile House, actually doing a karaoke there for the old folks.
Right.
Which of course got shut down, and we were doing even private, like even a fitness class booked us for a karaoke thing.
Right.
But I'm hoping to continue that soon. I've met some guys out here that want to do some stuff as far as getting a band together.
Right.
I'm hoping to get back to Winnipeg and doing some stuff there with the Friends band, because they still have a gig that we have to do still.
Oh, you're on the hook for that, are you?
I'm on the hook for that, and hopefully someday this is, we can all get this going again.
Wow, yeah. I was in a band here in British Columbia, and we did a tour into the interior, and one of our stops was Williams Lake. It was close to Christmas. And the snow was on the ground. I remember it was crunching under my feet. It was about 10 below.
When was the last time you were back in Winnipeg?
Just before the millennium, actually. It's been quite a while. I've been living here now for, well over 30 years now. So, just going back once in a while for visits. Yeah, the band thing is, it has its moments. And it also can get to a point where you just throw in the towel and go, that's it, I've had enough.
Right now at this point in life, it's kind of like, I'm basically retired. So
yeah,
I just, I like to sing, and, I like the band thing still. And, I'll still keep it going. So
you mentioned Cheryl. Does she sing also?
Well, she never did until I came up here, and I got her going on it, and she's done very well. There's things like, there's online courses you can take. I got her on this thing called Ken Tamplin online.
Right.
She's a very good teacher of vocals, and she's done very well, actually.
Do you do harmonies on any particular type of music?
Yeah, we even do Beatles harmonies, and things like that. So, it's gone really well. And it's just too bad that we had to get shut down.
Any advice for an interested audience who might be considering getting into the music business?
I can only advise people to work really hard, practice. You know, it's easier now because you have a computer that can make you sound like $1 million.
Right.
But when you go out and sing in public, it's a whole different gig.
Yeah.
And if you don't have even a good sound man, can make or break a band, as well we know.
Yes, exactly.
You know, and if you haven't got the proper things in behind you, you got to really work to make sure everything's just right. And it's tough. It really is. It really is, because there's a lot of competition out there.
Difficult for people who have a short attention span, not willing to put in the time.
You have to be really, you got to put in the work.
Yeah.
And, if you don't, it's not going to happen.
Thanks so much for joining this podcast of My Memory Pod, Greg.
Oh, you're quite welcome, Ron.
Guess we're going to have to leave it at that.
Okay. Been a pleasure.
You've just listened to an interview with Greg Harrison, rock vocalist extraordinaire, or Alice, as he was known to his friends. That about wraps up today. Tune in for episode 5 as I begin my readings from my soon-to-be-released book, Play, Stop, Rewind, and Replay. I'm Ronnie G. Bye for now.